How lovely it is to see so many lovely smiling faces tonight. Hello to everyone I know and to everyone I don't know. So we're going to continue now with a bit more sitting practice, and a few things came up for me there with Suzanne's lovely practice and Christine's lovely practice. This sense of bringing a bit of kindness to ourselves when we may notice thoughts that can be challenging, difficult, or unsettling. And also, as Christine worked with us there, this sense of bringing in the outside world into our kind of inside world and merging the two, being aware of both of those. And one of the things that kind of came up for me was this time we're in, really unusual time, not just with COVID, but on the bigger picture, this kind of big planetary crisis we're in. And I recognize how difficult that can be sometimes to meditate with that, or to sit with that and know what to do with it. And quite often people have said, oh, mindfulness is all about just accepting. And I think I just felt this need to kind of clarify that, yes, there is an acceptance, but it's not an acceptance in as much as just resigning ourselves to what's there and just carrying on and going back to practice or a little bit more mindfulness to kind of help us through a tricky patch. It's much more about, for me anyway, and I think for most people who practice, it's much more about tuning into what we can do, what we'd like to do in an ideal world, but then recognizing what we can do, what's tenable, what's manageable, and then knowing how to do that. And so there's a sense of wanting to bring a little bit of that into this sitting practice just now. And so that's that sense of bringing everything into awareness, but with gentleness and kindness. So yeah, let's just see how we go with this. This is a little bit on the hoof, as they say, but let's just kind of share this intention to be open to what's really going on, and open to the sense of us all having to adapt in some way, shape, or form, and really becoming familiar with how that might look, how that might feel, and how we can move forward with that skillfully. So just inviting you to take your seat and settle into awareness of being here, sitting, and following the sound of the bowl. Maybe just recognizing how you're feeling right now, having done a little bit of sitting at the beginning and the standing meditation. Comments of being restless and some a little bit more calm. So how are you feeling right now? Just being open and receptive to what's actually here as we sit, supported, breathing. Just being open to that. No need to try and change things or make things different from how they are. This is the acceptance. This is accepting just being with how things are in these moments. And in that knowing, just bringing this sense of the rhythmic flow of the breath into our focus, just as a place to rest our awareness knowing the full breath in and the full breath out. And of course, the breathing shows up in the body as well as the experience of the breath coming in and out. The whole body moves, some places more obvious than others. So just being aware of the full body of the breath, if you like, the full duration and the full body of the breath. And as we settle into this knowing, this being with the body breathing, just remembering this is our anchor, our go-to place, the place to return to whenever the mind might wander off, or if things get quite raw or difficult. Which isn't about running away from a problem or hiding. It's just simply making the choice not to be overwhelmed or triggered. And so there's an interesting balancing act here to do with difficult thoughts, these painful, upsetting thoughts that can kind of crash in on us at any moment. And how to hold those with this acceptance, this allowing, but also knowing that if we get stuck on them, if they start taking us into difficult places that seem overwhelming, that we can then step back. We don't kind of reject them, but we just make a choice to step back into awareness of the breathing and the body. Our friend's always there to connect with, to reconnect with. As we hold in awareness at a safe distance, difficult, challenging thoughts. Just holding them in a balance that we can work with. So just inviting now anything that might be hanging around, grabbing or pulling for your attention regularly, whatever it may be. And just knowing, just reminding ourselves that we can hold these thoughts in awareness with gentleness and kindness to them as well as ourselves. These thoughts are real. They need our attention quite often. They're not things to shove away or pretend aren't there. So this is the opening, turning towards being receptive to all the time holding them with a gentleness. And a sense of kindliness. And sometimes we don't have to kind of strive to find an answer or anything in particular. It's just this notion of being able to sit receptive and open to what is. And this can be healing. It can be informative too. So thoughts might come up about how we can respond to these thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And it might be that an idea comes into mind which is really worth remembering. So sometimes in practice, it's good to have a pad or a pencil around to make a note. Just break from practice mindfully, of course, to get it down so that we don't forget. And then just return to the body and the breath. So just holding whatever arises, whatever emerges, and trusting. There may be some things that are really obvious, there's maybe some that are a little sketchy, and that's okay. We're not striving for anything in particular, but just offering ourselves this space to work with some of these potentially difficult and challenging situations. So just inviting you now for a few moments to work with the silence in whatever way feels comfortable for you. All the time knowing you have the anchors of the body and the breath there to work with if that's all that shows up. And just for the last few moments, perhaps inviting a sense of loving kindness to yourselves in whatever way feels right for you, just inviting that infuse the whole body, the body-mind. Maybe even allowing a smile to come across the face, just a very slight smile, curling up the lips. And allowing that warmth, that kindness, that light to spread outwards to everyone you know and the whole world. Why not? Wishing well everywhere. Okay, and just gently emerging from your practice. And yeah, so just